TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Hello, hello.
This week, we'll talk about Saudi Arabia joining forces and aligning itself with Iran, making a dramatic shift in the Middle East. And another crazy thing that happened this week, Lebanon was able to break through our northern border and carry out an attack on Israeli soil. But first, let's say thank you. Thank you for everything you guys do. It is an amazing thing to be able to be a part of it. I say the same thing every week, but it's just so true. There's nothing better. I don't know any better way to say it than it's just so amazing to be able to feed the people here in Israel that need it so bad through your support. It is a beautiful thing that we're doing and a great work in God's name. And we are so blessed and thankful for you guys who are making it possible to do this. It is, just like God always promised, He would bless those that bless Israel and curse those that curse Israel. And we're definitely blessing Israel here. The nation of Israel, the state of Israel, Israelis, everything Israel, right? It is a wonderful thing to be a part of, and we can feel your love, and the people that you're helping feel your love from all the way across the world where you're from. They feel your love in your it's every week when we show up with the food. It's just an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And like I've said before, but it makes no difference, just for your information. It takes about $200 a week to feed a family here that on the Golden Report ministries here we do. And it's just for your information. And if you haven't yet been part of this part of the ministry and you want to, there's links below every video to the Patreon page and to the Support Us page. So, or you can just go to thegoldenreport.com, and whichever way suits you the best, you can find a way to support that way.
Yeah.
So before we get started, we finally was able to put a video out this week for you guys. You'll see it. It should be posted on Monday. It's the Upper Room. It's a wonderful thing, wonderful place to go, and don't need no big introductions. I'm sure all of you know exactly what the Upper Room is. And on Wednesday, the 360-degree video will go out that usually follows those travel videos, where it's no commentary. You can just turn your phone, or if you're on a computer, you can on the left of the screen, I think there's arrows you can push with your mouse, and you can look in any direction you want. It's 360 degrees. Well, actually more, because it's not just because it's like the whole every which way.
Just like you were there.
Just as if you was there. You can pause the video and turn and look and everything. It's amazing technology.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
We started this week with the news that now Saudi Arabia is reconnecting and renewing its ties with Iran, supporting them in their drive to become a nuclear power and produce nuclear weapons. They stated that one of the main reasons for this move towards Iran is because when Iran made attacks on Saudi Arabia, the U.S. stood by and did nothing. America did not choose to take any action against Iran and allowed them to do as they pleased. That was their public statement. What was it?
Which is true.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Iran did attack and make a big attack in Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. did nothing about it. And so that's why they said that it's not like the U.S. made an agreement with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is in NATO or in. So it's not. So I can understand why maybe the U.S. didn't do it, but on the other hand, the active role that the United States has taken lately in allowing Iran to just continue to move forward in their nuclear weapons and arming the enemies of all the people, not just Israel, but mainly Israel, in the Middle East, is Iran's the big bad boy in the block around here.
Yeah.
And countries, especially not Israel, where we stand pretty strong with NATO and the United States and have a pretty good military here. So countries in this part of the world, if they don't have a lot of help, they'll back down for Iran real quick, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, many high-tech investors that had large investments in the Israeli startup companies and high-tech industry here in Israel tried to use their large amount of money and investments in Israel as a tool to hold our coalition hostage and make them back off of the Supreme Court reform. What they did was take out all their investments and money from the banks in Israel and move them to Silicon Valley. This was a couple weeks ago. Now we see that what happened with SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, this past week. You know, I said it, I usually say it when I say thank you to you guys for the support, being able to feed the people here in Israel. God promised He'd bless those that bless Israel, and He'd curse those that curse Israel. So He keeps His promises. It was pretty amazing to see how quick it happened, and overnight almost. And it really is just confirmation of God's promise being fulfilled.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, it was a big thing in the news. We didn't report it because actually I didn't think it was that big of a deal enough to talk about.
And also it makes panic even worse. So we don't want to, just report these things too much because
that really had no effect anyway. It's not like the money they took out really affected things, and the economy of Israel was crashing because of it, and there was really no effect. So we decided not to really talk about it. But it's amazing how quick it happened. They took their money out, they put it in those banks, and boom, the banks fell.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to find out if the SVB bank was making active moves and trying to do things to hurt the economy of Israel or something, and that's another reason why it happened. It's a
interesting thought.
It's beautiful to see always when you see the Lord sticking to His promises.
Yeah.
Amen. These protests over the Supreme Court reform have only gotten larger with more and more violence from the protesters. This is definitely the most dangerous situation in the state of Israel today. The protesters are blocking the roads and the airport and are all over the country. It's not just Tel Aviv, they're everywhere. It's a real big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they even try to not letting our Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu to go abroad twice for a meeting. They blocked the road to the Ben Gurion, which is the airport, and they didn't let him because they wanted to avoid him from flying.
Yeah, they wanted to stop him from flying out, doing his job, trying to get other countries in the European part of the world to join us against Iran.
Yeah.
Right? They thought they were doing a real good deed for the country.
Yeah.
Right?
On Sunday morning in northwest Syria, another Iranian weapons convoy was destroyed by an airstrike. This again a strike that was not in the area of Syria that was affected and still trying to recuperate from the tragic earthquakes.
That's so important to mention.
Yeah, because Syria trying to make it like we hurting. They're trying to recuperate, like what we're doing. Yeah. By the way, we never took responsibility for that, right? So
yeah, but we know. Let's not be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is very important to mention because the anti-Semitic people, the anti-Israel people, are always going to try to try to find every situation against Israel that make lies and everything. So it's important to say that Israel has not done anything in Syria attacking convoys and military targets of Iran trying to get to Hezbollah weapons that were close to the areas where the people are still struggling.
Yeah, we actually tried to help, and Syria denied our help, which shows what's more important for them.
Right, exactly. On Monday morning, the Islamic Jihad in Gaza fired many rockets out to sea as a training exercise. This is not an unusual event, but it is unusual in the number of rockets they fired. They put a message saying that they are getting prepared for the next time they start a war with Israel. But it really isn't unusual that they fire all these rockets. They fire rockets sometimes at sea as a practice run. But it's just this many in the middle of the morning.
Yeah, and it's very expensive for them also they heard. I'm not sure how much that money they have, but it's very expensive. Every rocket costs a lot of money. So
Well,
if
they
they
get
did
support.
it's interesting if they did it like psychological, just to make us look towards them and think and talk about it like we do, or they're really preparing for something big and they're willing to spend all this money just to make sure they prepared.
Yeah, well, I think. Well, first of all, let's talk about the money. How much money? Later we're going to talk about it, but
They get
they
money.
getting money all the time, so they have plenty of money to buy weapons, and they get money from everywhere. And but also, what no one's talked about, and I'm fixing to say something before I tell you about another part of the news here. It was basically in the same morning and during the same times that another very big, very significant event took place here in Israel. And it might have been working together, like you said, to make people look that way instead of look this way. And now we're talking about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
On the same morning, on Monday morning, in the north of the country, at the Megiddo Junction on Highway 65, a very large bomb was placed on the side of the road. It exploded in an unusual way when a car drove on the other side of the road. Because of the size of this explosion, the driver was still seriously hurt. This IED was similar to the ones found in Lebanon during the last Lebanon war. Shabak still investigating and didn't allow a lot of information out right away, but this is not usual attack by the Israeli Arabs. It's not. It really is. It really was different in every way.
Yeah.
But later, the Shabak gave out some information.
Yeah, after a few days, the Shabak allowed some information out. This attack on Monday morning was a terrorist from Lebanon that was able to cross our border and hitch a ride 70 kilometers south the area he placed the bomb, and he was also wearing a suicide vest. Our security agents were able to stop him before becoming a suicidal bomber. By the way, something important to mention, the bomb used in this attack was made in Russia.
Yeah, that's also. Now, this is just some of the information that the Shabak is letting out, not all the information. Because this is such a different type of attack. This is Lebanon crossing our border, illegally, obviously, being able to cross the border somewhere, somehow, and carrying out attacks in the country. It's not them using propaganda to make the Israeli Arabs inside to act up like they usually do. Yeah. Literally crossing the border and coming in. This is a whole different animal.
Yeah,
it's a whole different animal. The state of Israel put out our Minister of Defense put out a statement, and it didn't really say much about it. And I understand why. He can't really, but so we don't know what or when or how they're going to get back. Yeah. But I'm sure Israel will. I don't have any doubt about that. We can't allow something like that to go on. Nasrallah, the head of the Hezbollah up in Lebanon, is watching the situation in Israel with the Supreme Court reform and is now threatening to take advantage of the split in the nation. He released a statement showing the happiness that Israel is being weakened by the political struggle. This is raising suspicion about the strange attack only one day before. So what I mean by that is he's really pushing the envelope here. You know, he let that statement out after the explosion and after the terrorist attack. The whole thing twist there is Russia.
Yeah.
You know, Russia making the bomb for the attack.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, it is.
That's something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to give you some information that may upset you. Where your tax-paying dollars are going. During Trump's administration, Trump stopped giving money to the Palestinians because they have never stopped teaching hatred toward Jews and supporting terrorist attacks in their schools. During these times, Jewish deaths from terrorist attacks dropped drastically. Then Biden came into office and renewed the financial support of terrorism, sending huge amounts of dollars to the Palestinians. Just last January, this January 2023, America gave PA, Palestinian Authority, over $1 billion. Since Biden renewed the financial help to poor Palestinians, a drastic rise in terrorist attacks caused a rise in Jewish lives to be lost. Basically, dollars were paid to kill Jews.
Yeah, that's some insane information. And it's all true. Ola we heard about this, and Ola did a whole lot of research. We did a lot of work and background checking to make sure all the statistics that you see on the screen are. And I mean, it is so in your face obvious. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like we talked about, all the rockets that Gaza was able to fire. It's so very expensive. Well, when the Biden administration is giving them hundreds of millions of dollars, that's the renewal of support, and then on top of that, $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course they get all the money from Qatar, and they get money from all kinds of just straight up terrorism support, not just people who put it under the flag of humanitarian aid. But all the money, no matter what you think their money's going for, it ends up in the hands of the terrorists to make weapons and to kill Jewish people. And you can prove that. It's very easy.
Yeah.
All those billions and billions and billions of dollars over the past few years, or hundreds of billions, who knows how much in the past decades.
Yeah.
You can see the situation of the average Arab in Gaza, in all the Arabic countries around this Middle East. You can see their situation does not get better in any way, only worse. But the terrorist leaders, they're living in mansions, and the weapons are in the mini. Yeah. They have many rockets, many weapons, so that's where the money goes. It's pretty obvious.
And also Palestinian Authority paying the families of the bombers and suicidal, and also whoever still alive, in our prisons, the family get money. It's about 12,000 shekels. How much is in dollars? About
$3,500
a month for a prisoner who sit in our jail and kill Jews. His family get this salary every month.
That's why I think the law of getting rid of the families, exiling the families from terrorism, would actually make a difference. Because right now the families are pushing their kids to be terrorists because they know they're going to get so much money and respect and stature in their community for their kid being a terrorist. Yeah. But if they got kicked out, they might not only stop raising terrorists, they might actually start stopping, you know. It could be a whole switch there. Could be. Well, it's some interesting information that's worth noting, and share that information with everyone. On Thursday, Israeli security forces went into Jenin to capture terrorists responsible for recent attacks in Israel and planning more in the near future. This mission turned into a scene from an action movie when our security agents were caught in a large lynch attempt. Hundreds of people came out to try to kill them. They held up in a small store on the street they were at when many gathered outside. The IDF brought in large convoy of armored vehicles, getting them out with no casualties.
This is again showing you that it's not just the people who is doing this terrorist attack. They are the radicals and they hate Jews. You see the whole village, the whole place, Jenin, was against those soldiers. They tried to kill them. So it's a terrorism have in like a large amount of support in there. Yeah. People are supporting terrorism. It's a families who support terrorism, killing and blood. So again, two-state solution. How? I'm just thinking about people who trying to promote two-state solution. You can see clearly what they want. They want it all. They don't want two-state solution. They don't want Jews in their land. That's how they see that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all.
Yeah, exactly. That reminded me. Well, there was Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the nation in Israel while he was on a visit in Germany. One of the trips that the protesters tried to stop him to go. Yeah. where the counselor of Germany, he gave a long speech about how he's with Israel, but he ended up with saying how they want us to have a two-state solution. People don't understand. You can't. First of all, you can't have your neighbor give your neighbor what he wants to be able to get more power to kill you. And even if that neighbor was okay, people forget the size of the state of Israel. Arabs have so much area and land around here, and countries and everything else, and the rest of the world that seems to like them too. And Israel's so small. It's the only place that we can call home. It's the only place it's called Jewish land. It's the only place that we can protect ourselves and not have another Holocaust and not have anything else that could come down the pike because of anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
it's the only place.
It's the only place of sanity, normal and democratic
in the entire Middle East.
And they now saying like we're not going to be democratic or something. It's just.
Well, you got anything you want to add?
I already said.
You already said. Okay. Well, don't forget to join us on thegoldenreport.com. And until next week.
Shabbat Shalom.
God bless.